Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Deployment Research YouTube channel. My name is Johan Arvedmark, and today I have the absolute privilege of having a very distinguished guest in the studio, Mr. Niall Brady. Hi there. Hi, Niall. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me, Johan.
It's so good to talk to you. It feels like we have been years and years since we talked and have a chance to sit down. And
Yep,
that's probably because it is a few years since we did that.
it is.
So.
Yes,
Yeah.
probably 2019 Ignite or something.
Sounds about right. Oh, I miss those in-person events for sure.
Yeah, and also the in-person MVP Summit. Speaking of which, are you going?
I am.
Yeah.
I have booked it
So
in
I'll
my
see you there
calendar.
because I am going.
Fantastic. There we are.
Yep.
I think I owe you dinner or possibly two. So sounds good. But for the folks in the community that I don't think it's possible not to have stumbled across any of the work that you've been doing over the years. But who are you, Niall? What drove you to start publishing content for the community all these years back and since?
Very good question, Johan. I have been blogging content about things like Config Manager, Microsoft Intune, and so forth, guides for years now, many years. And I enjoy it. It's almost like an addiction. If I go a week or 2 weeks and I haven't written a blog post, there's just this itch inside me that says, oh, got to do it. But sometimes work overtakes things and I don't have time to do that. But going back to your question, where did this all come from? It actually started off way before I dealt with Config Manager or Intune. It started off a long, long time ago in the late 80s or early 80s, mid 80s, sorry, when I started playing with my first Z80-based computer, which was an Amstrad CPC 6128. And that 8-bit computer really started off my career because I taught myself how to program in machine code, Z80 assembler, on that device. And I did it all without the internet. I mean, this was a long time ago. And back when I was doing it, there were many publications out there at the time and about the Amstrad CPC. And what I used to do was I would crack games, for example, to make them easier to play, Infinite Lives, stuff like that. And I would write into the magazine and offer help to others who wanted to do the same thing. And I have many copies of these correspondences that I did back in the day. If you want to check out amstrad-noob.com, you will see some of it. So, where I ended up today, I owe it all back to my early start with Z80 computers in the 80s. And that's where I started this whole thing about sharing what I'm doing. And that just evolved over time to me, creating websites and writing step-by-step guides.
That is so amazing, and thank you for sharing. So, in addition to your normal day-to-day work, I know you work a lot with Config Manager, Intune, and Windows 365 and others. I think it's your old, well, I wouldn't say old, but it's been around for a while. Your Windows Noob site is probably what you're most known for. And I brought a link up here on the screen here, we can see it. But where I have been using this site personally, and I know a lot of people have as well, is for your many, many, many guides. It must be in the hundreds by now.
Yes.
Out of curiosity, do you know how many people have been basically reading these guides? Do you have any metrics that you know?
Yeah, and there are metrics. If we just talk about the index of guides, you can see that I think this one is, I don't know, hundreds of thousands, this index, because this is just an index of guides that I've written. And this is
Just
the latest. It's the latest index of guides I've written. So prior to this one, the previous index was 1.5 million. and so on.
Sure.
The previous index was based on Config Manager 2007 and 2012, whereas this was more, Config Manager current branch, and then Intune, and then Windows 365 and PKI. So this is the current index of guides, which I need to update, of course. Hopefully that answers some of your questions.
Wow, 1.5 million views. That is nothing short of absolutely amazing. On behalf of the entire community, thank you for putting all these together. You must have spent tens of thousands of hours total over the years for this.
That's why I have no hair left, and what I do have is just gray.
I'm with you on that one, and I realized when you were talking about your early endeavors writing assembly code, and I realized, dang, we're getting old, sir.
Yeah,
we are not 25 anymore.
No, but still feel like 25 occasionally.
Agreed. So, as of late, what have you been working on? I know you have a fairly fresh blog, a WordPress blog that you've been posting a lot of stuff on.
Yes.
But what have you been up to?
On a blogging perspective, I started a new series with Paul Winstanley, another MVP and my good friend. And this time we wanted to do a mini series on automating Windows 365. So we're going to go into we've released the first part, which is that one there, which is kind of an introduction to Microsoft Graph. And getting started with that and doing your first action for cloud PCs. And we're going to go a bit deeper, obviously, in the series. And actually, this series has evolved from a previous series we did, which was called Getting Started with Windows 365. And that was pretty complex, 9 parts. We wanted to do the 10th part, which I think was Windows 365 offline, but I don't think it's been released yet, so we're still waiting on that.
I did see the boot and switch being released just after MVP Summit this year, so it's cool to see those technologies starting to emerge.
Yeah. So from a blogging perspective, this is what I'm blogging about. From a work perspective, most of my working day is around, the vast majority of it is Windows Autopilot related. And anything to do with white glove or pre-provisioning, as Microsoft calls it. So that's a big challenge for us because where I work, we have different personas, obviously. And one of the personas that we have to support is field service engineer. And they, in the past, back in good old Config Manager days, would get what we call a core image, which would take a few hours to install, and we would copy down virtual machines as part of that. And these virtual machines are big. I mean, they are big, right? So we would deploy everything that was needed so that when they pick up their powerful laptop, it would be a little production ready device that they could go to their customers with. But the challenge was to do something similar with Windows Autopilot, and that's where pre-provisioning came in. And that led us to another challenge, which was, our compliance policy states that you need to be fully BitLockered. And of course, if you pre-provision a device somewhere else, Microsoft doesn't want it to be BitLockered until the user signs on. So that was a technical challenge, which I took on. And not only did I take on that challenge, but I solved it. So, and I blogged it too. It's a 3-part mini blog about encrypting white glove devices. And I can give you that link.
Yeah, that would be great. I was just trying to find it here while you were talking about.
It's not in the index. That's what I said. I need to update my index. So
that would explain why I couldn't find it, sir.
Yes. So it's a 3-part, and it's quite extensive. And basically what you get if you follow it is the devices that are pre-provisioned either at the OEM or your third-party provider will get staged with all the content and policies that you deploy to the device. But in addition, the device will be 100% BitLockered, encrypted. And the key will magically upload to Intune as soon as the user signs on. So yeah, it's something I'm actually pretty proud of, and it works really good. So please check it out.
I will absolutely do. Would you mind putting it in our little chat here in the call or in Twitter?
Let me
perhaps?
just give me a sec to find it.
Yes, sir.
1 moment.
I mean, this is what I love about the community. People like you figuring things out, often hours and hours or days, developing a solution, and then
this took a lot of work.
Publish them.
Okay, so let's see. Here we go. There.
Got it. Let me copy it over here. And I will go ahead and share my screen here again.
I can mention another thing as well.
Sure.
On Twitter, someone, I think it was Adam, posted a tweet saying, does anyone know what plugin you can use, whatever, to do a Windows reset without being, when you're a standard user? And that was a challenge we also took on. So what I came up with, we had more challenges than that because we have enterprise Wi-Fi with Cisco, and that involves being in an Azure AD group at a certain time, not during enrollment, but after. So one of the challenges of that was, okay, well, how do we automate the adding of users to that group? And then how do we automate removing them from that group when the user resets the device? So Windows Reset by itself, going into Windows settings, requires you to be a local admin, which we don't allow. You can, of course, go into a company portal if you've enabled it and choose to do a reset in there, but that's all it does. It doesn't do anything on top of that. We want it on top of the Windows Reset. So I came up with this app called Self-Service Windows Reset app, which in its latest version, if you look at my Twitter feed, you'll see I posted a screenshot of the latest version with a QR code. And the QR code was to help users of the app to understand what the app was about. So it could link to whatever you want, right? But the app, in a nutshell, what it does is it offers the end user the ability to self-service reset Windows very easily. And what it gives us, the admin, is a log of the fact that they've reset Windows. We log it to Azure Tables. And we also remove the device from certain Azure AD groups as part of that reset, and more. So definitely a cool thing, and I've blogged it as well.
I believe I found it. This was the one, right?
There you go. So that updated code, I can make it available. It's not on the blog at the moment. The old version is on the blog without the QR code, but the instructions for setting this all up is there. And as you can see, it offers 3 different types of wipe, which you don't get really with reset in Windows, unless you know what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. You have been busy, sir, as always.
Yes.
All right. Niall, I know it's Friday evening in Sweden at the time. Thank you so much for joining and spending some time with us this evening.
My pleasure.
Looking forward to see what else you come up with. So enjoy the rest of the evening, and everyone out there, thank you for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.